What is up, everybody? It's Rob here, and I'm coming at you with the Monday nightly watch list. And it's another week of opportunity, all right? So, everybody get locked in, okay? Wake up and drive and keep grinding, all right? It's another week of opportunity, and this week is gonna be crazy because Nvidia, after hours on Wednesday, reports earnings, and it has the opportunity to save the stock market. So let's get into the watch list and let's talk about what went down today. So the index is actually closed down over 1% today because the markets are pulling back, right? As I've been telling you guys, right? AI bubble, the markets are really frothy, right? You've been seeing areas like nuclear, quantum, we even saw some meme stock rallies like Beyond recently, and the market was going absolutely crazy and getting hot. So as normal, right? We finally have got kind of our mini pullback here. So today, the markets were down over 1% today, and they've been pulling back on December. Federal Reserve odds have been shifting, okay? In the last watch, as I told you guys, watch the Fed rate cut odds because it's gonna, move the market right now. And a month ago, the market was pricing in 95% of a 0.25% rate cut in December. Today, we're sitting at 45%. So, right, with those rate cut odds that are shifting, well, the market has been reacting to that. And all eyes are going to be on Nvidia earnings this Wednesday. And if Nvidia reports good earnings, it's going to save the stock market. We're going to get our Christmas rally, and you're going to see some big moves. So, like I was saying today, right? The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq actually closed below their 50-day moving average, which is the first time since April 30th. So the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average are big, technical analysis levels that, the market likes to look out for, right? The moving averages smooth the price action out, and it shows you an average, right, of how the market's actually moving. And right now, right, the S&P 500 actually closed below its 50-day moving average. You could look back on a daily chart of SPY and actually see that anytime the market, right, went under this 50-day moving average recently, well, you saw a big move up, okay? And we actually got to trade some of those opportunities and made a killing on some call options. But for right now, we actually got our first close below it. And you saw there was some profit taken heading into Nvidia earnings, right, this Wednesday. And Nvidia was actually down today, right? A little sell-off before the earnings on Wednesday. So, guys, keep your eyes on that, all right? That is what the market's going to be looking out for this week. And, once you get those numbers, well, if Nvidia doesn't report good, things are probably going to get ugly, and it's not going to be good for a little bit, and you're probably going to see this, correction here deepen. But if Nvidia reports good earnings, oh my God, this market could absolutely rocket up right here. And a lot of names you see right now, they're going to balloon up, especially heading into this Christmas rally. So keep your eyes all on that. And then here's the other headlines I have for you today. Trump actually said that they're going to begin selling F-35s to Saudi Arabia, okay? So this has been discussed for a while now. So I want you guys to look at Lockheed Martin on this. And just in general, this year has been great for the defense contractors. Look at, Northrop Grumman, like we just said, Lockheed Martin, right? They've all been doing good under the Trump administration. So now, right, with Trump agreeing to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia, Lockheed Martin got a candle on that today. So their ticker symbol is LMT if you want to check it out. And then we actually got an update, right? Trump, last week he was saying he's going to give out $2,000 checks to everyone, right, if they make below a certain income limit. So today we got an update on that, and he said that tariff dividend checks will be given out by the middle of 2026. Now, don't, count on this. Don't, think it's really going to happen. But, he's throwing it out there, and he's going to try to make it happen. So there's a possibility, heading into 2026, everyone's going to get these stimulus checks from tariffs, which, if we do see that big market correction and a new business cycle that everyone's been talking about, well, those stimulus checks could actually be very timely for some people. So, we'll see where that develops. But for right now, it's just talk. Next thing I have for you here, Amazon actually raised $15 billion from their first U.S. bond sale since 2022. So Amazon hasn't done any, corporate bond sales, U.S. bond sales since 2022. And now we see that. So on their balance sheet, right, they just got a huge injection of $15 billion in cash. But at the same time, right, they are going to have to service that debt. And you can pull up the interest rate that they got for selling that debt. And, right, they're going to have to pay that interest expense. But for right now, right, look, Amazon just raised $15 billion. So they're going to be getting all that cash on their balance sheet, which, if you wanted to hypothesize, well, where do we think that money's going to be going to? Probably AI CapEx. So watch that. And then, like I've been telling you guys, right, we're in this little bit of like a start of a correction here in the index's broader market. But what we do know is that crypto stocks are getting absolutely hit hard on this, market sell-off right now. And Bitcoin just fell to over a 6-month low. So I want you guys to look at MicroStrategy, okay, right? And then also look at the ETH treasury companies, especially the one that Tom Lee has been pumping recently, okay? Right, it's another, just like MicroStrategy, they go out and they buy a bunch of Bitcoin. Well, look up the Tom Lee, okay? I'm going to give you some homework. The Tom Lee ETH treasury, okay? Because that's another one. So look at Bitcoin, okay? Falls to its 6-month low, and Ethereum is down nearly 40% since October 6th. I mean, just in that period of time, from now until October 6th, Ethereum's down 40%, okay? So crypto got absolutely smoked, and that's what you see. And when you start seeing profit taken, okay, and volatility in the markets, well, crypto is going to be the one that gets the biggest stick down because it's the most speculative, the most leverage. People love to take leverage in crypto. So, on this recent, daily candles down, there you go. Crypto's going crazy. And then also, Coinbase was down 7% today as crypto sells off. So keep your eyes on Coinbase, right? MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all right? Look at all the altcoins. They're getting wrecked. And that's what I have for you on the crypto front, okay? HIMS, right? They announced a $250 million share repurchase program. And if you don't know, right, companies can use some of their capital to go out into the open market and buy back shares, right? Which reduces the amount of shares on the market so the price goes up. And some investors view it as a vote of confidence by management or that the current share price is undervalued. So if management doesn't think they can use that capital to get a higher return on investment elsewhere, sometimes they'll go out into the market and just buy their shares back. So that's exactly what you saw with HIMS, right? Which is a big runner this year, okay? One of the top names, from a percent return standpoint this year. So that's a big headline that comes out of them. They're buying back shares. And then Nvidia, right? As I'm saying, they have their earnings after the bell on Wednesday, okay? So the numbers should come out around 420, I think, right? We'll probably get the numbers. But they were down over a percent because people are, profit taking, right? You had the huge run up this year. So they're selling off a little bit coming into their earnings. But one of the big headlines that we got out of this weekend was that Peter Thiel's fund sold off its entire Nvidia stake in the third quarter. Okay, now Peter Thiel's a big investor, and now this doesn't necessarily mean go out and oh my God sell all your Nvidia, right? This big investor selling his, but it just goes to show you, right? Nvidia has had a huge run up. Okay, so people are taking some profit, right? They're taking risk off the table. Okay, right? Coming into the earnings report, and with all this chatter of AI bubble, this or that, right? Some people, right, are taking all their chips off the table and saying, hey, it's time to cash in. We've had this incredible run up and I'm pulling out now. So that's why this earnings is going to be critical, okay? And it has, the opportunity to move the broader markets immensely, okay? So all eyes are going to be on the earnings for Nvidia. And then over the weekend here, right, big news for Apple and Google, right? Well, Rob, what can that be? Well, Berkshire Hathaway, right, from Warren Buffett, they revealed a new $4.3 billion stake in Google, okay? And they actually sold more Apple. Now, right, recently, or, past quarters or whatever you want to call it, Berkshire has continued to reduce their stake in Apple. And we just saw them take on a $4.3 billion stake, new position. And Google was actually up 7% pre-market, okay? And, right, what we saw today from trade in action was, right, up 7% pre-market. People started to profit take that pre-market move. And then at the open, right, you saw a big move up because people came in, bought the dip. But then today, with the markets coming down into Nvidia earnings, right, well, Google sold off again. So keep your eye on Google, right? Berkshire just took a new stake, big news. And then in broader news, right, watch American Eagle, right? We've already seen, right, all the commotion around the, Sydney Sweeney advertisement with American Eagle and, the controversy over, she said, about genes and people related to your DNA, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into that right now. But they're actually released another campaign together, okay? So watch your American Eagle stock because, right, a lot of publicity on American Eagle, good or bad as you think, but it is affecting the business, right? Affecting revenue. So watch American Eagle on this, okay? They're releasing another campaign together, okay? Which could affect the quarterly earnings, okay? And then Meta, I want everyone to watch Meta, okay? They have been an absolute beaten up tech name after earnings, okay? Look back on the last earnings report that Meta released, okay? And they sold off because of all this AI spending that they've been doing, okay? And they're still beaten up. So it's one of the tech stocks that are at a relative low. So I want everyone to keep their eyes on Meta and watch for a big move, okay? If Nvidia comes out and saves the market, okay, and the market's going to start running up in the year, Meta could be one of those names, right, to run up. So keep your eye on Meta. But at the same time, like I'm telling you, and I've been telling you guys, I said, guys, at the end of the year, we're going to get all this volatility. So watch Meta to keep selling off, or just maybe this is the exact moment, okay, that it could go absolutely crazy up. And I also want you guys to look out for ticker symbol FUN. It's actually Six Flags. And I've been talking about this in previous watch lists because a private equity company or activist investor took a big stake trying to turn around the company. And one of the big investors involved was Travis Kelce, right, from the Kansas City Chiefs. And since they reported that news, this name has been getting absolutely smoked. I mean, I've been seeing candles down 10% on the daily. I mean, this stock went from $25 on that announcement now to $14. Absolutely smoked, right? So this name has been, facing a lot of price discovery on the downside after earnings, okay? So, all right, this isn't going to go all the way to zero, but it's been trading like it's about to go into bankruptcy. But a bottom will be found, and you're going to get a huge move up, okay? So watch for this name. Do your research, right? Maybe you'll get added to your long-term portfolio. I don't know. Maybe you want to. Maybe it's a good name. Do your research, okay? FUN. Next thing I have for you here, too, another little side name I want you guys to watch out for is Path. PATH. And, right, this company is involved in AI. And if the market decides to keep bubbling up after Nvidia earnings, watch this one to go absolutely crazy because I think this is a name you definitely want to watch as well to move up, right? So, guys, that's all the news I have for you, right? What moved the market today, what to watch out for, and, all right, a lot of volatility. You're hearing a lot of stuff. AI bubble, right? Oh my God, we're going to go into recession. The consumer's hurt. 2026 is going to be the year everything goes to shit. Well, you know what? Watch this earnings report. It's going to move the market in the short term big, and we're going to see what comes into the end of the year. But don't be surprised.